This is day 3 of the nuts and bolts unit. Today we're going to really delve into symbolism and starting to learn to read art. Remember, we are focused on trying to understand how art communicates. The unit goal is for you to establish a foundation for success during this course. The content objective for today is, do you understand that art is a form of communication with its own language structure? We're actually going to be dealing with that for a couple of days. The language objective for today is, can I verbally communicate my ideas of what is being symbolized in the picture? However, since you aren't in class, you are going to have to show me that understanding of symbolism through the writing that you will do. A symbol is a thing or image that represents or stands for something else, especially and usually in the abstract. Take the yin-yang. In Chinese philosophy, this symbol describes how opposite or contrary forces are actually complementary, interconnected, and interdependent in the natural world. They give rise to each other as they interrelate to one another. As an example, how would you know good if there was no evil? And how would you know evil if there is no good? Those opposites actually help to define each other. So symbols in artwork, they provide context to the communication. They help give a clue as to what the artist is trying to say. So I just used the word context, and that might be a word that we also need to define in order to understand. What is context? Context is the part of something written or spoken that clarifies its meaning. To understand context better, let's look at these two sentences. He ran toward the open doorway. He bolted out of the oppressive darkness and towards the comfort of the light, reaching out like embracing arms from the open doorway. In both of these sentences, the same action is happening. There is a male running to a doorway. But one provides better context to the idea that he's running to the doorway because he's afraid of something in the dark. Just like certain words can evoke a feeling underneath the words, the context of the words, so too do we have context in visual images, certain clues that we can look for that tell us more about the action of what is happening. Let's look at these two images. Which of these images is a whisper? And what is the other one? What are the clues in these images that provide you that contextual information? I want you to take time in your small group and discuss this. That last example was pretty easy and straightforward. Let's get a little more complicated. Look at this image by René Magritte. It's called Not to Be Reproduced. What do you see? What do you think Magritte is trying to say? Again, I want you to discuss this in your small groups and back up your ideas with your specific findings, those things that you are seeing in the artwork that lead you to your idea of what Magritte is saying. The students in class will be working in small groups to do this. You're going to have to do it on your own. There is an image on the next slide that I want you to carefully look at. I want you to look for these things that are listed on this slide. Ultimately, you're trying to decide what the artist is trying to say, and consider the visual symbols in it. You can consider the year it was made, title of the work, size of the work, etc. And you can do online research to discover other information. You will write this down on a sheet of paper and turn that into me on your return to class. You can pause this video at any point here to inspect this image more carefully. This image, called The Cabinet Maker by Jacob Lawrence, was painted in 1957. So what do you see? What do you think Lawrence is trying to say? Are there clues here that tell you what race Lawrence is part of? Think of the year. What was going on in the United States in 1957? Just look carefully at the image for all sorts of clues as to the statement. Learn to read art. That's what I want you to do here. Look at it carefully, read it. What is Lawrence trying to say? Let's look at the winter count art form created by many Native American peoples, especially among the Plains nations, that served as a calendar with glyphs to symbolize each year. The context, of course, is time, and the symbols represent an event that's so significant that it would stay in the memory of those people, and significant enough that the peoples that lived around them would remember it as well. Let's look at this context a little more deeply. One of the things I first noticed about the winter counts and the calendars and how they were arranged was that spiral format. We in the West have a very linear concept of time. The past is past, it's over, it's done. But this spiral format made me think of a line I remembered when I was reading a Faulkner novel where a character said, "History's not was, it's is." And for me, the spiral format suggests that interconnectedness of time. We would not have the things we have today if it weren't for the innovations and the struggles of the past. We're going to emulate this winter count format and the idea of having images, glyphs, to represent, in their case, represent the year. In our case, your glyphs are going to represent each unit. So by the end of this course, you should have 5 to 7 glyphs on the blank side of your portfolio. Each will represent one of the units done during this course. I want this to take on the form of the winter counts with that spiral format, because everything that we are doing should relate to each other and the course aim of understanding how art communicates. As you are not in class, you probably don't have your unit handout with you, so do research on the American flag. Try to find out what the stars represent, the stripes represent. Why do they use stars instead of circles? Try to find out what the colors represent. Record that on a sheet of paper and bring that to class on your return. You can staple that to your unit handout, and I can give you the completion grade for doing this work. There is a homework assignment. Again, it's not a do assignment, it's a think assignment. What I want you to do is start contemplating a visual symbol, a glyph, that you can use to communicate the nuts and bolts unit. There are several days to do this. Roughly by next Tuesday, I expect that you have an idea ready to roll with to complete the unit count assignment. So think about what we've learned about symbolism, your understanding of the winter count form, what a glyph is, and how you can picture the course aim and the unit goal in an image that you will draw on the cover of your portfolio.